Greetings, everybody. Hey, let me tell you, we are lacking for news today, but I'm glad to be here. Tom's here. We got all of you here. What's going on, Tom? How you doing, bud?
I don't know what is going on.
I don't know. There's a song I think that asks that very same question. What's going
on?
There you go. We got to do a karaoke thing.
Brother.
I've done that in a minute. We need to do that.
Yes.
Holly together. 6.
Yes.
Voices. Do some singing.
Now you got that song stuck in my head. Thanks.
Oh, it's definitely my fault. Let's go into it. We got some folks out here hanging out. Tom is not fired. Somebody suggested you're fired.
I'm fired from what?
I don't know. You're not what's his name? John Harwood at CNN.
Who?
John Harwood.
You said hardwood.
Speaking of, yeah, Beavis and Butthead tomorrow.
This wood is hard.
There you go. Ham Dinger says, I like Tom. I like Tom too. Big fan. A lot of fun. S is joining us today. We got Siege Perilous.
You haven't even been watching Beavis and Butthead, have you?
I am trying to wait until there's a significant number of episodes.
Well, there's like 6.
Oh, is there? Okay, all right. I can start. I have to be careful because, like, with good stuff, because you've been saying how good it is, I'm going to burn through it, and then I'm going to be sad because there's no more.
I see what you mean, but
I'm
about halfway through the season now.
You know, Paramount can make good stuff. Or they can have people make good stuff. Wish they did that.
Yeah, just let other people do their thing.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you actually stop a song mid-tune?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad.
That's all right.
I'm sorry. He didn't
I was
really...
probably fired up after the show today.
No, you're fine.
I forgot about the tirade. It was my fault.
I don't care.
Usually say something sooner.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna find a way to blame you. Just wait.
That's fine. I accept full responsibility. It's got to be my fault somehow.
No, not really.
Yeah, welcome to Mead Radio 3. That's right.
My brain just doesn't function.
Me neither. Mine neither.
It seems like it.
I actually was like scrambling for stories, trying to remember. There's a lot to talk about, but I don't remember what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's very little. There's like little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
There's,
hey, Lurian.
There's J-Law throwing a fit because she probably realized, oh shit, I'm getting to that age where nobody's going to hire me anymore. At least not for the price I want.
Jennifer Lawrence is weird, dude.
Yeah, and she picked a dumb argument to make.
Because I've got lady parts.
I'm not getting paid as much as the guy who's had a career 20 years longer than me and has been in more movies than me, including probably one of the biggest movies of all time.
Right. Plus, I mean,
Where's my $5 million? And he's probably the star and had more lines, but still. I am so sick and fucking tired of these women actresses coming out and going, boo hoo hoo. So-and-so made 2 million more than me. Boo hoo hoo. So-and-so made 5 million more than me. Then guess what? Get a better fucking agent. Or do more movies that actually make money.
Well, she was in Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, 10 years ago. Has she had name one hit she's had in the last 5 years?
Wasn't she in a film with Chris, one of the Chris's?
Flop. That's one she complained about too.
Pratt.
If you'll remember, that was one she was bitching about too. She is one of the whiniest fucking actresses I've ever seen in my life. Boo hoo hoo. I'm making millions. Boo hoo hoo. She's not even that great of an actress. I don't even understand how she won an Oscar. I'll be honest with you.
As far as leaked nudes go. Wow. All right. Here's the weird thing. She was a Harvey acolyte.
Yeah, well, guess what that got you?
Well, apparently 2 miscarriages.
Ooh, that was dark, but not quite what I meant.
Sorry.
Maybe if you want your career to continue after you fuck a very powerful person, try not to cancel that powerful person. I don't know. Maybe if you're going to participate in the game, you can't bitch about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she has made some decent films, Tina. I mean,
Passengers, I believe, flopped.
It didn't do good, but even if the movie's good, right? Even if your performance,
if I remember right, Passenger was one of the reasons why what's his face lost his fucking job at Sony.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of losing a job, that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start with what Tom and I told you was not going to happen, not happening. I think all of us were talking about this. Andre, everybody. This was never going to happen. This was an industry pipe dream. DC chief job still open after Dan Lin, Warner Brothers Discovery end negotiations.
Well, this is not a name that I heard coming around. In fact, I said his partner would have been a better choice.
Mm-hmm.
His former partner, or if they're still partners, I don't know, Roy Lee. And yeah, because Andre and I both pointed out that he's basically Hamada 2.0, and you racist fucks, get that idea out of your head right now. We mean just because he's basically produced all the same movies. Like they've got basically the same resume. So it's like, what is this guy doing even being considered? He's not a super producer or anything like that in our eyes anyway. Shit, even Peter Rice probably would have been a better choice, to be honest with you.
But I mean, we saw this coming a mile away. We're like, this is an industry thing. This is he can't,
kind of like what's his face, Jeff Loeb or whatever it was last week.
Yeah. We're gonna bring this name in to get a buzz going, and then they're not gonna take anything we talk to them about.
Well, this guy probably wanted the job. I'm not gonna doubt that.
He wasn't gonna play ball.
He's not qualified enough. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Lego movie. But
that's what I mean. He's produced it in the Lego movie. Shit, at least Hamada has the Conjuring universe under his belt. And his producing partner Roy Lee is working on some new sci-fi franchise. I can't remember what it is offhand, but I was reading something he had wrote about it. I'm like, this dude actually likes sci-fi and gets story and all that kind of stuff. I can't speak to Dan Lin though.
Yeah, and here's the thing. As Variety reported, Lin was not the only individual in contention for the job. This is part of what he wanted. He wanted WBD to acquire a stake in his production company, Ryback. That's...
You know what this might signify, though? This means they may have made a choice.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Maybe. Look, these are the two most important people right now: Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi. These people have been together doing this job together for a very long time. Elsewhere, and arguably, Tom and I have said Michael DeLuca should have been doing this a decade and a half ago, 12, 15 years ago. He should have been.
Well, yeah, because he was one of the guys that was behind New Line with Robert Shea. And when we interviewed him, Mike DeLuca's name was a name that came up constantly in the interview. So this guy, he learned from one of the best. And if there was anybody who was going to be able to probably carry New Line into the next century, it would have been him. Unfortunately, they picked the wrong dude, and that was Emmerich, who was another, office level guy at New Line. And it was a poor choice. And I don't know how this guy managed to hang on to his job at Warner Brothers for the last 20 years, because outside of the Dark Knight films and the Harry Potter films, which are already established IPs, you can't really name much of a hit or Lego movie, right? Like the only hits that Warner has had in the last 20 years have been shit like that. Nothing of their original stuff.
Like I said, if he would have been there if they would have taken him instead of Emmerich, I think Warner Brothers wouldn't have been in the position that they were in.
Yeah, I don't know Abdi that well, but
they've been working together forever, dude.
It's very possible she came up with him at New Line. I have no idea. That was just not a name I'm real familiar with. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, when they left the other entity, it was together. They're a package deal.
Well, they tried to salvage MGM, and they actually had a few. I mean, all they had to really work with was all those remakes.
Yeah, but they're the reason Samaritan got made.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they were with MGM up until the acquisition. And, it's not like they had much to work with MGM. That's the thing. It's not like I blame them. I mean, they managed to pull off a few things at MGM, but granted, I didn't like a lot of the remakes, but I can't deny, RoboCop wasn't horrible. I don't know how much he had to do with that, but, some of the other movies that they had come up with in the last few years, Samaritan was a good one, though. At least they're trying to do more original stuff anyway.
Yeah, of course, they're gone now.
Yeah, it's just Amazon now.
Amazon's going to be... They acquired MGM to do what with it now? Now, based on the material that they put together themselves, I mean, what?
I thought it would actually be to get into more distribution in theaters and stuff, believe it or not. But considering they didn't even bother putting Samaritan in theaters, which I cannot believe.
Yeah.
Especially when there's nothing else out there. That movie could have probably made some decent cash. And then you drop it on Amazon in a month. Or 90 days or whatever.
It could have done really, really well in the theater right now.
I mean, I'm not saying it would have been a huge hit, but I bet it would have made $300 million. Right now. Exactly. It probably would have made about $300-400 million.
Yeah. And Stallone's been doing pretty good, to be honest with you. Amazon acquired MGM and will close their studios because Rings of Power is going to fall apart. This is ATN.
Well, that's the television side of things, but
I have a feeling, as we continue to point out the giant gaping holes in the conversation. In fact, Andre pointed it out today in the video that he put together, and he pointed people towards the archives that you guys are building up quite well over there. In the video that you guys released today over on Midnight's Edge, it was, you can't take Amazon's word at all for anything, and accurately pointing out that just
actually,
the domestic.
It was 2 days ago, but yeah.
Was it 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
The one we released last night was the Elon Musk one, and then a day or two ago was the one when we did the. Maybe it was Monday, but I thought it was Sunday. I can't.
Today is Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why I've kind of been off.
I'm having a hard time, folks.
It's all good.
Days are bleeding into each other.
Yeah, this was our response. Well, I think it was yesterday because it was the 25 million they were claiming or whatever. We're watching it. But, yeah.
And this is true. Jacob Society Reviews, folks. You have a podcast coming up tonight too, don't you, Jacob? The media is working hard to protect Amazon's billion-dollar investment. I don't know. I mean, half of the media is the half that they own.
Well, we actually have some numbers now from an outside source, right?
Yeah.
Samba says they count about 1.8 million. That's a far fucking cry from 25.
It is. Well, remember, 25 million in 240 countries and territories. You could spread that out across the globe. Come on. It's a little over a million. So just a little over a million in each country.
I ain't buying it. What's funny is House of Dragon, I think, did better than they had thought too.
Oh, dude, it set records in the UK. That came out today. 4 million so far have seen the first episode on HBO over there. Well, actually on Sky over there, but man, it's sad because just in the United States alone, HBO Max numbers reported 25 million. Well, North America, because Canada. Bananas. 25 million viewers on 220 million subs would mean that 1/5 of the people would have watched it. I don't believe it. Okay. They also used, and this is pointed out by Andre in one of the videos. I don't know which one, because again, days bleeding into each other.
And basically, because that's what Haitian's saying here. Only about 100 million of their subs actually use the video side of the thing.
Yeah. I don't see it happening. And so they're counting viewers. So are they counting households, like 3 or 4 people in a household watching this? Is that how they're getting there?
No, the Wall Street Journal did a little bit deeper digging, and they found that the terminology that Amazon actually used was sampled.
Wow.
So they said 25 million viewers sampled Rings of Power in actuality.
Hey, emotionally unstable amphibian. Good to see.
So you can interpret sampled as a lot of different things.
Yeah, sampled's a big problem, and that's one of the reasons that's
that's not view. That's a sample. That means they could have watched 5 minutes, could have watched 2 seconds, could have just rolled like Andre and I were talking yesterday on the show. Could have simply rolled after you were watching something else, and or you left your Amazon up and it just started playing it automatically in some cases.
Yeah, the autoplay feature. Yeah, I mean,
since it was the top thing on the website thing or on the app.
There's all kinds of stuff. So I don't believe it. I don't think anybody does, to be honest with you. But that's okay. At least there's some numbers to back up what HBO says. And we know for a fact that since HBO is racing to get their ad tier out there, that we're going to have some solid numbers, just like we're going to have solid numbers out of Disney and some other places that, maybe didn't want to give us solid numbers, but they're going to have to.
Yeah, like Louviana says, sampled. Okay, taking a page from Parrot Analytics. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I don't believe it. Yeah. But here's something I want to find out. Do you guys, this is one of those things. Is this an optical illusion? You guys are going, what is he talking about? Because he hasn't shared it yet. Is this an optical illusion? Did Harry Styles actually spit on Chris Pine?
I watched the video like 10 times. Here's what I think happened. I think he leaned over and said something to him. It looked like he spat on him. He did not. Chris was on his phone when he came up. And if you watch, Chris drops his phone between his legs. And as he's looking down, it looks like he's smiling at his phone, because then immediately picks up his phone and continues to smile. And then Harry turns to him and says something else. No, I do not think that he did. Honestly, yeah, I honestly don't think he did.
I'm going to play it.
You don't see anything come out of his mouth.
Oops, that's not good. Okay, try again.
You got to start it over.
Why is it? I muted you. Stop it. Okay, so we'll try it again. Are you sure?
I am sure. It's just the timing of it. because he's got his phone right there and he's looking down. Okay, now watch. He picks up his phone again, like rolls his eyes. He's laughing, and then he reads his phone. You keep, or it's not the whole clip. That's part of the problem. See, he's looking at his phone. He's not. Yeah, see. There's something he's laughing about on his phone. That's what I think.
All right.
Because honestly, if I was Chris Pratt, motherfucker just spat on me, you think I'd just sit there and take it?
Yeah, and if you're Chris Pine, you might, do the
Chris
same
Pine,
thing.
I mean. Yeah, you know what I meant. There's too many fucking Chris's.
Too many Chris's.
They're the new Corey.
That's right. There are the new Corey. Oh, man.
Only some of us older kids will get that joke.
Yeah, the Coreys, yeah.
God, because
you know what? I should do a poll. Yeah.
How many times did I say Chris Pine?
I don't know. Who cares?
Like 20? Or Pratt, I mean. I don't know. See, I can't even keep them fucking straight. It is Pine. Yeah, and I don't think he would have took it. I think he would have said something. Oh, there was a lot more than 2 Corys, Duck Nation.
Yeah, lots of Coreys.
No, I don't think he spat on him. I didn't see nothing coming out of his mouth either. And I saw the full video.
Right. So I'm posting the poll now.
I think he was just reading his phone.
It's just kind of funny. Kind of that fun little optical illusion.
Yeah, I just think it happened to be whatever it was that he had said to him. It just happened to look like he spat on him is all.
Say it, don't spray it.
Yeah, I don't know too many people who would put up with somebody just spitting on them.
You've gone from slap to spit. There you go. Wow, look at that. Chris Pine looks like a strict old auntie.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he was thinking with his... What the hell's up with that wardrobe?
Dude,
yeah.
Look at Styles' collar. I'm like, are you kidding, bro?
Yeah, I know.
Right now, Pine looks like a creepy, like super creepy, like boat dude.
He's dressed like a grandma. He is literally a grandma on vacation. I'm not wearing socks. I'm on vacation. Let me see if I can find the full video here. I had it somewhere.
This is also true. Pine does look like he's valued out of his brain.
Oh, wow. Jaws did better than I thought. It bumped up to number 8 and did 3.32 million.
Yeah, I was going to say it made over 3.
Jesus.
Dude. Yeah, I was like, it did really good.
Wow. It did almost as well as Top Gun. in like cool? Half the theaters. Kind of. I mean, it was like, it wasn't full yesterday, but there was a lot of people there. Hey, Andre.
Hello, the boss man. The boss man is here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right.
We're past the Dan Lin conversation, but I gotta ask if you had the same reaction I did to the Dan Lin situation, Andre. Do you think
that he didn't get it? I'm glad he didn't.
Well, that we know, but I mean, do you think this means that they may have made a decision? That's what I said.
I don't know.
This is the first time they've really come out and said, "Oh, this guy's not getting it." Right? Like made kind of a big deal about it.
Well, it certainly means that if they haven't made a decision of a person, they know what they're looking for,
right?
And he's not it.
Well, and like, I mean, Jeff Loeb, they didn't do this for. A bunch of other people they didn't do this for. That's my point. Like, this one feels like kind of... Of course, Dan Lin was never a name that I had heard come up, and I brought up that his actual producing partner probably would have been a better choice, Roy Lee, who has a little bit more experience, but
I don't
he seems
think
to understand sci-fi a little bit more and stuff like that. But
well, that could be.
But now this guy's not somebody I thought was going to be...
I still stand on the side that he was never really a serious contender. So he was brought in just to glaze over.
Possibly. I'd like them. But again, who would have thought that Walter Hamada was a serious contender before he suddenly got it? But that's what I mean. Like, this guy...
Hamada made more sense, though.
That's what I mean. This guy is poor man's Walter Hamada. You can see why they would go for someone like Hamada. I don't see why they would go for someone like Lin.
Exactly. I thought that they would go for, and again, I think this means that they've either made a choice or this is definitely means they're going a higher caliber than this guy. And you know, he's in the ranks as far as producers go, but he's not like way up there as far as I'm concerned. I've seen him on a few producer lists, but again, his partner's usually just above him or right near him, and you read his partner's resume in comparison, and you're like, yeah, why aren't they looking at that guy instead?
Yeah, there's a lot more qualified people out there, so we'll see.
I've been trying to think of anybody who could actually handle this. And outside of Kevin Feige, who's broke now,
there's plenty of people who could, but we haven't heard about them. We have honestly, we have no idea who the next Kevin Feige is going to be. I'm sure there's 100 people out there who has the potential to be the next Kevin Feige, but we don't know who they are. They haven't made themselves known to us.
You need somebody like Blumhouse. Like Jason Blum. You need somebody like that who can come in and kind of do this in a way that's never been done before for superhero movies. I think they need to take a new approach. Because I think the biggest mistake is bringing in Horn, trying to emulate what Marvel did 10 years ago.
Oh, that's definitely a mistake. I completely,
because that's 10-year-old. That's a 10-year-old plan, right? Or more, actually, more like 15 now. But you know what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sander, you know what's sad is that's probably a better fucking choice than Dan Lin or Jeff Loeb. As much as I don't like Josh Whedon, at least he fucking understands some of the superhero stuff in comparison to most. You know, that wouldn't even be a horrible idea in comparison. If it hadn't been for Independence Day 2, I'd be like, yeah, give it to Roland.
Let's see what he can do. He wouldn't be a half bad choice. But again, like the point that I would always stress is that before Kevin Feige became Kevin Feige, no one knew he was a Kevin Feige. We didn't know that he was a Kevin Feige until around the time of the Avengers, when he had pulled it off, like when he was producing Iron Man with Avi Arad. No one had any idea that Kevin Feige was Kevin Feige in the making. Because there was no way to tell from his resume.
I think they were on the right track with Jeff Johns, but he just wasn't the right guy.
No, he wasn't. You could see why they would think that, but he wasn't the guy, clearly. On the contrary, he was worse than useless.
Do you think that they could sweet talk Gunn or would be interested in Gunn?
I'm sure that they have tried. I don't think that he's interested in that position.
Oh, this is a brilliant name, Kenneth Branagh.
I wonder if he'd even be interested. I think the only reason he took on Thor is because it was the only one he had anything he felt like he could add anything to.
Exactly, because I would absolutely not want Kevin Branagh because he's not a producer. He's a filmmaker, and he's one that loves his fancy-pantsy theaters, right? The only reason they were able to get him was because they were able to pitch it to him as a Greek tragedy. That's what he was into, this tragedy of these two brothers. He was like, I get that. I can do that.
And he probably hearkened on
stupid setting, but I can bring that to it. That's the only reason why he was
honestly
there.
I think he probably gravitated towards some of the mythological elements of it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that he did that, but then you have like the superhero thing that's not going to be like
that part he didn't care for.
But there's enough there to get him.
It was probably sold to him like you just said, and then add on like fish out of water tail.
It totally was,
and I can see that.
Yeah, but that's how it was sold to him at the time. Like he was very open about it. And no, you absolutely don't want someone like that producing the entirety of DC films. This was a filmmaker that had to be lured in for just one movie, and he was promised a Greek tragedy. That's not someone who can produce a whole thing. So no, he'd be worse than useless.
Yeah, Branagh's the kind of guy where he's got to be very passionate about whatever it is he's working on. And not only that, he's got to have control. That's his whole thing too. Rightfully so, because have you ever watched most of his productions, 9 times out of 10, they're good. I mean, he knows what he's doing, right? So, I mean, in that respect, you can't. But as far as overseeing an entire franchise, no, I don't see that.
It does.
What were you going to
But
say,
wait,
Culture?
but no, all I was going to say, but look, you don't necessarily have to be the creative completely about, with these projects, right? You just have to be able to navigate everything in between them.
Well, and that's why a producer is important. You need somebody who knows how to produce, because there's tons of directors and creatives who like to try and think they know how to produce, but it's really they're just getting the fucking label. They don't actually do the job. Tom Cruise is one of the rarities, probably, in this day and age.
Honestly begun when they got a filmmaker in Zack Snyder to do the job that should have gone to a producer.
There you go.
That's where it all went wrong. That's what Marvel got right. They had a producer to oversee and produce and basically show run the bigger tapestry. DC didn't have that, and they still don't.
Hey, Tian says, what about Favreau? Actually, I don't know what order these would have went in, but like the first 3 meetings I had been told they had were with Gunn, Favreau, and Feige himself. And Feige actually, I guess, had contemplated it from what we had heard from people in his camp.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
Does it surprise you at all?
Sense.
No. He's like, I conquered one. Why can't I conquer the other? But at this point, I see Feige kind of just, he'll kind of just slide into the background, and then he'll just start producing like smaller things that he's into.
Yeah.
Well, Pinochet tells us that the poll is flawed because there's no indifferent option.
Just don't vote.
Yeah. So what I did is I went ahead and I'm ending the poll. It looks like 70% of you believe that no, Styles did not spit on Pine. So, the burning questions here on Tuesday Tirade today.
I did watch the video quite a few times, and that's what I came away from. He was just looking at his phone.
Yeah. The suggestion of Kathleen Kennedy is funny. Yeah. I don't think that she would be...
I don't even know if she would know what Superman is.
Yeah, it's good point. Speaking of which, Warner's just a house on fire. They've done so much shuffling lately in your neck of the woods, actually, Andre. The Nordics have shifted substantially in the management team for Warner Brothers Discovery, and the projects they're pursuing and everything else. That all happened yesterday, right? Just a few hours ago. You got new leadership there, and again, I think the bloodletting's not over, and we find out that they're losing another person today. Karen Grinthal, who's a veteran ad executive for Warner's, leaving, so they're like getting rid of everybody.
I would say good. They need some fresh blood there, so not bad at all.
Yeah. She was a Food Network and other properties on Madison Avenue, so she's out of there. So she worked on the Discovery side of things. So
I was gonna say, if she come from Food Network, she would have been from the Discovery side.
Yeah. She obviously became redundant.
Well, at least that means that Zaslav is weighing both options, right? If there's a better option on one side, he's not gonna play favoritism with his Discovery disciples. Let's say. That's what it looks like to me, anyway. Am I wrong here? Am I reading this wrong?
No, I think you're 100% right. I think he's clearing out redundancies, and he's keeping the best of the best if he can. Because I would imagine that there's a lot of room here, but anyway, there's a lot of things. Obviously, she's been there for a long time, so we'll see. But I mean, like I said, I think he intends to slim down the company, and I think we're going to see more of that. Not just at Warner, but elsewhere. I mean, we're going to see continued cuts and layoffs, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like this is the early 2000s all over again, with the amount of layoffs that we're going through in the media side.
AOL.
Yeah. But,
boy, was that a dumb move.
Yeah. They should have seen the writing on the wall, but like I said, I brought up the issue, in the Nordics. They brought in.
I'm checking right now to see if they're hiring. And what they're doing.
Not a
No,
bad
but I'm
idea.
serious. Because, no, I'm not thinking about like myself. But
you
what I'm
should.
curious about, but what I'm curious about is if they're firing people, letting people go, are they doing any hiring? Have they already recruited? I was like thinking that, so I just went to see what's going on here. And
Well-
I don't see them advertising for any new positions, so it would appear that they have cut positions. But I can't see any signs of them looking for someone new one. So either they already did recruiting of new people, or they just cut people and maybe cut some of the things they were going to do. But certainly the people who are left will be working overtime, let's say.
Well, some of it, okay. So primarily, you know what? I'll bring the article up, but primarily the reason that this is happening is because of the restructure that they went through to slim down how they go about conducting business there.
Exactly. So, they're just slimming down because
yeah.
they're not hiring anyone
Yeah.
that I can see.
In fact, these latest exits yesterday were basically adding to the total of 29 people that are departing from Warner Brothers Discovery's European production team.
And that's a lot. Like in Norway, there's 120 employees in total. So
right.
that is a fairly decent amount.
It is. Yeah. And it's consistent with what some of the things that Soslov has said is he's going to look at reducing, somewhere between 18 and 20%. He's looking for all those cost savings and he's looking to get rid of redundancy. So, but this is the list. This is the full list of humans that are leaving.
Yeah.
Well, or actually, that are staying. I'm sorry. The ones that are staying. Sorry. Not the ones that are leaving. These are the ones that are staying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's crazy.
Get your resume in.
There you go. I don't know. I don't know that I'd want to work for a media company right now. I think it's
why not?
I don't think
depends on which position though.
Yeah, but you're working undercover.
Exploited grunt or someone higher up where you just have the stress of having Saslaw's sword over you at all times.
Well, on the Zaslav note, we're seeing rumors now from Sil Abdul, so take with a grain of salt, that Flash is undergoing reshoot or major rewrites for reshoots, which is funny because I thought it tested so well that it was the best tested film since The Dark Knight.
I have no problem at all seeing how both of those can be true at the same time.
I can see both of them. Well, the latter being more true, the former being a big bunch of snow jobbing us, but yeah.
Yeah, no, because I do believe that there were positive test screenings for The Flash. And I also believe that that's part of the reason why they're not going to can the movie. But at the same time, the roadmap is changing. The movie has to get rid of all of the things that Sarnov wanted to set up, and instead try to reference and shift to a direction where it's going to set up things that Zaslav wants to set up. I have no problem at all seeing how those two are like perfect. I could say that the movie is decent, but it sets up what Sarnov wanted. Zaslav isn't going to stand for that. He has to change those things about it. I have no problem believing that. That sounds extremely plausible to me. I'd be more surprised if he released a movie from the previous regime without changing it in any way, especially since he, in not so many words, already alerted there's going to be reshoots. He didn't use those words, but when he was at like these investor days, whatever it was, and he said, we've seen these movies, the ones I'm naming now, we like them. We think we can make them even better. That's signaling reshoots. That's what we're seeing right here. And what we've also heard, again, just rumors, but apparently the audience didn't respond too well to Sasha Calle's Supergirl. And we already know that the Supergirl movie has been cancelled, but she is still in the Flash movie. Why should she be in the Flash movie when her Supergirl movie isn't happening? I mean, she's a creative dead end, so why have her in the movie at this point when you can tweak it to get rid of her, set up something that Zaslow actually intends to follow up on later instead?
All I know is if I was Ezra Miller, I would be behaving like a motherfucker right now. Because if they're going to have to do any kind of reshoots, especially to take out a character like that who supposedly had a not huge part, but a larger part, don't think they ain't going to just reshoot the whole fucking thing. And at this point, like, I have not still heard much on that. It's been pretty quiet. All I know is that supposedly he met with DeLuca and Abdi. And I'm curious more about what we've been hearing about Horn and his influence on Zaslav. That has me more worried than anything.
And it should, because as you know, I'm now
because we still have no definitive proof that Amber's out of Aquaman 2 yet either.
There's been a lot of statements, but not a lot of things. But she's been really quiet about.
That's what I mean.
Aquaman 2.
She did claim that she's still in the movie, but that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, Pinochet's helicopter tours for $2 says staff at Warner Brothers asking, who will our next oppressors be? That's a good question. And that's probably
they keep bringing this on themselves, which is hilarious. But anyway,
well, we got Netflix is having some difficulties too over there, trying to make.
So it's another day that ends in Y.
Look, I mean, everybody's trying to make everybody happy. It's impossible to do, but you try to make the bulk of people happy, and usually you can be successful. When it comes to what's going on right now with Netflix and Arab nations, it looks like there's a bit of a stumbling block, and we can call that the message, because Gulf Arab nations ask Netflix to remove offensive videos. What do you think? What do you think offensive videos means to them?
Well,
cuties.
If the woke people approve of it, it's offensive to the more conservatively inclined, and that is definitely the case in the Gulf Arab nations. So yeah, all of the stuff that they take such pride in including, all of their diversity, all of their inclusivity, all of that stuff is what's offensive.
Well, I think you're right. So in Dubai, Gulf Arab countries on Tuesday asked Netflix to remove offensive content on the streaming service, apparently targeting programs that show gays and lesbians. And I imagine a lot of other things as well. A joint statement issued on behalf of the committee of the Gulf Corporation.
But we're the istophobes here in the U.S.,
saying the unspecified programs contradict Islamic and societal values and principles.
They do. I mean, I know a little bit about Islamic laws and the rules for society, and the stuff on Netflix and the values they push there is absolutely in violation with that.
So the following countries that want these changes are Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. You have Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, and those are the 6-nation council, including they also have Bahrain as well. So you have the statement didn't elaborate. Saudi state television also aired a video of an interview conducted with a woman identified as a behavioral consultant who described Netflix as being an official sponsor of homosexuality. Wow.
Yeah, I can see why they would say that.
Yeah. And of course, they wanted Lightyear banned there, which they got, amongst other things. I have a feeling that Netflix will bend the knee here, but it'll be very, very quiet. And
yes, I agree with you. It's going to be very quiet, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be yet another further signal to the management that all of the stuff that they have invested so heavily in, they flushed money down the drain. Money and subscribers, and it backfired tremendously. And all of this, I think, is part of maybe the timing, I think, is coincidental, but that it happens right now alongside everything else, alongside the Rings of Power now obviously flopping, is all part of the pendulum swinging the other way.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see more conservative, leanings by the general populace, and it's going to be, and they're going to be loud about it. And
I honestly hope the woke folk find out and they freak the fuck out.
Well,
you shouldn't hope too much for that, because they're going to fight back against it, because the way that those crazy see it, they're going to think that this is an existential threat, and to their values it absolutely is. They're going to want to burn down everything on the way out, leave nothing, because these are extremists.
But again, it's in a different country. They need to head over to those countries and protest. I think we should help them. We should.
That's what I'm saying. Let them.
Yes. I've been saying this the whole time, that those that, for instance, think that the U.S. is so incredibly problematic in everything, why don't they just cite the places which are better, and then cite places which are worse, which are in greater need for their help? So
you're cutting out there, Andre, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, is like, they think that we're so bad here. We're not saying we don't want any entertainment with, no homosexual entertainment or anything like that. No, what we're just saying is quit shoving it into everything. And it's not just that, it's all this diversity crap, and this forced diversity crap is what we're talking about in this, CRT shit and these hijacked movements. Yeah.
To the death of storytelling.
Yeah. But look, I'm going to say this real clearly, Dash Tech. I'm not suggesting anything at all of this nature. This is what Netflix is going to have to respond to in these Arab nations. So your $5 super chat reads, I don't think homosexuality should be banned from the media. Neither do I. Just executed better and not forced, and not in children's programming.
That's pretty much what I was just saying. Exactly. Yes. But you just paid to say it better than me is all. Great example. I mean, even though nobody really talked about it, like I gave the new Chucky show a pretty good review, and there were some people bringing up some points to me about gay characters. And I'm like, yeah, but they're natural to the story. Chucky has always addressed that kind of stuff since the last couple films anyway. The original creator has been an openly gay writer in Hollywood for the last 30 years. It is not anything new, and he's not shoving it down our throats either. There's a little bit of fun here and there with it, but it's also naturally part of the story. So it's like, to me, it hasn't distracted at all. So, and it's also an adult program. So it's like, okay, fine. Whatever. I had no issues with that. It was a new character. They weren't taking an old character and making them gay, or anything like that. They even had the joke of, the kid's like talking to Chuck and he's like, oh, I figured you'd have a problem with me because I was gay. And he's like, no, I got a son who's bisexual or whatever, transsexual. And he goes, what do you think? He goes, I'm a murderer, not a monster. That's the whole joke. But I mean, it's,
That's so funny. Yeah, I love Chucky. Chucky's funny.
Well, as I said, it's not for everybody, but in that case, and then also, we had a recent one with Sandman, which is a prime example of how they kind of stepped on their own toes when they had something that already was progressive, made it woke.
Yeah. I'm like, I like you said, I just want people to lash out appropriately.
Eclay brought up the gay couple in the new Halloween. Those two were my favorite characters in the fucking movie. In Halloween Kills, the two gay guys were like my two favorite characters in the movie. Because I'm like, every town has those two gay guys in it. They buy this old house, they fix it up, and it's the nicest house in town all of a sudden.
And the yard's great, and if it always smells good because there's always good food. You betcha.
And they don't portray them as like anything other than just a regular couple. Exactly.
Yeah. Pinochet's helicopter tours for $5 is waiting for some Hollywood elite to call Six Nations dinosaurs and have some tool like Chris Evans to tell these historical nations they will die off. I'm waiting for that too.
Yeah. Well, in a more recent example, look at Lord of the Rings. What is everybody saying about it? It sucks, but the two greatest performances are from the two two
Yes.
main actors that are not white.
Yep.
So what does that tell you?
It's just junk. All right. Well, we're running out of stories, guys.
Oh yeah, that's right, Duck Nation. I remember having a rant about that because they said that Michael Myers was homophobic for killing the gay characters. I'm like, no, that means he's not homophobic. That means he's an equal opportunity killer. He don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you shouldn't be fooling around. So there you go. Siege Perilous. Oh, they heard. Okay. What else do we have? We have. Well, I mean, really, we're down to who's getting fired at CNN when at this point. The more Warner Brothers stuff, and I don't
I have
know.
to say, I'm looking a bit forward to that, to see what's going to happen with it and how they are going to try to fix that, and the anchors that remain. Are they going to address at some point that they spent the past 6 years as a propaganda outlet, not news?
I think they kind of already have. I mean, they haven't come out as explicitly and said so, but the fact that they're changing direction to become less partisan driven, activist driven, I think that speaks volumes.
Oh, it absolutely does. But again, how are they going to achieve it in practice? That I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah, which VIP Article 6? Because I mean, I can get to most of them.
She just sent it to me. Yeah, it's how the rings. Oh crap! I can't even get. How the rings of power can inform Amazon's M&A strategy.
Yeah, I actually clipped that one. Was thinking of doing a video, but we can talk about it here for sure.
Well, I think she wants it so she can read it.
Oh yeah,
she's been doing a lot of research for the Embracer Group video we're working on.
Let's see. I've got. Yeah, let's bring it up. Hang on. Oops, wrong window. Sorry, guys. This is real. This is what happens when you live TV, folks. It's not quite prepared for everything. Yeah, I've got this clip. I can send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to Tom.
Well, while you're dinking around there, I did watch the new Elvis movie last night.
Oh, what did you think?
Night.
What'd you think?
I didn't hate it. It's probably one of the better Elvis movies. My biggest gripe is just how Baz Luhrmann decided to add like a bunch of remixed hip hop music in with all the music. And they really pushed this idea that Elvis got all his inspiration from black people, which it's like, yeah, part of that's true, but he also mixed rockabilly with the blues.
Oh, he did a lot. Yeah, he did a lot of things. Now I have this clipped. It's a PNG file. I can send it to you, Tom, if you want to get it to 6. But
awesome. Yeah, or you can send it to her directly, either or.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, how the rings of power can inform Amazon's M&A strategy. Well, it talks specifically about. It's no question 2022 has been a dramatic year for M&A in the gaming realm after Microsoft kicked off the year with the announcement that they're in agreement to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is actually probably not going to happen. But we'll move forward from that, especially the EU. Have you noticed, Andre, have you noticed the EU is stepping into a lot of antitrust stuff now?
Not directly, because Norway is only a light member of the EU.
Right.
And by that I mean is when the Norwegian people voted no to join the EU for the second time, our politicians who were desperate to be part of the EU, they went and they got us connected to the EU anyway, by way of the EEA, which is something that was invented specifically for countries that vote no, and this way they can be part of the EU anyway, only without actually having any kind of voter influence. They still have to abide by all the rules and everything. So I haven't noticed anything because we're not technically EU, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
if there's just more oversight and more overreach from supernatural, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Extra national bodies,
right?
It goes. It's wave of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's interesting is they are actually looking to shut down a lot of these things. They're even influencing like what's happening in the Americas. Whether or not like some of these deals can actually go through. So I was just curious if you'd not seen some of that there, because I had been noticing it and been quite surprised by it. So
Yeah, no, I
um,
haven't noticed anything directly, but I also haven't been looking for it. Like I've had my mind on other things.
for
So
sure. Yeah.
so it hasn't been anything so extreme that I was forced to notice, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Yeah, it
If you
has.
see,
So yeah, they're looking at this deal too, this Activision Blizzard deal with Microsoft. But anyway, so they talk about all these acquisitions, everything else. But EA did reportedly entertain M&A talks earlier in 2022, with Amazon said to be one suitor. A since corrected report from a Swedish outlet affiliated with USA Today recently rekindled Amazon as an eminent EA buyer before the report was refuted by sources at the company per CNBC. As Amazon has a cloud gaming, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so think Embracer Group. In August, the Swedish holding company bought the licensing right to The Lord of the Rings, effectively making it the licensor of Amazon's own ridiculously expensive Rings of Power series that began streaming Friday. Having already spent the last few years purchasing a multitude of gaming adjacent publishers and development studios, it has since nested under about a dozen units. Embracer has massively upped the ante in 2022. No kidding. Do you guys happen off the top of your head know how many hundreds of studios they own now?
oh, it's a shit ton, and it's way beyond gaming. I mean, they even own the German media company Koch,
Ha.
which is pretty. Yeah, and that's.
You said cock.
Well, it may have sounded like it, but yeah, no, it ends with
You
with
said
the
it.
CNH. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no. So basically, there they got TV channels and boutique Blu-rays and what have you not. So they have more than just that, but more than 100 companies in total.
Yeah. And not only that, here's the big thing, right? The company began the year with its completed acquisition of comics house Dark Horse Media, which comprised over nearly 600 IP rights added to its portfolio in the first quarter.
Indeed.
That's insane. They entered into an agreement with Square Enix to buy Western Studios Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. The deal closed in August, giving Embracer control of Tomb Raider franchise and its media licenses. Such film rights reportedly lost by the new Amazon subsidiary MGM Studios, causing current licensee GK Films to seek new distribution partner as Amazon figures out what MGM's future looks like in the streaming era. It sounds like it's not going to go anywhere. But I guess acquiring that company was 800 IPs, gives it endless film and TV options for the studio and Prime Video. That's true.
2 of which are worth a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Because the James Bond franchise is in a transitional state, its only current project is a video game being developed by IO Interactive, a Danish studio.
And MGM has very little to say. And aren't they even less than they used to be over Bond?
Oh yeah, no, that's 100. It's EOS. It's Wilson Broccoli.
Well, Sony had the distribution on the last few, and then I think Universal had the last 1 or 2.
Yeah, you're talking about distribution deal. Yeah.
Well, just all that shit. MGM had hardly any fucking like leg in the game outside of like if they hadn't made any money on the last one, it was going to kill the studio. Like that was about where they were at. But MGM has been on life support for the past 40 years.
Yeah. You know, this is a good question, Reed by nature. And I think Andre's probably, one to speak to it. Should we be worried about the potentially wide reach of a company that owns so much, referring to Embracer Group?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Here's like the thing. I'm now answering in principle. I don't think that you should worry about the Embracer Group as it currently is, with its current management and everything like that. All of that right now looks pretty promising. Looks like a really good group of people. But they don't have all the money to have this growth all on their own. There's some investment there.
Yes, there
There's
is
some Saudi money there. Who knows what the next CEO is going to look like? What the next management is going to want to do? I'm generally always skeptic whenever a huge corporation comes in and takes over, or even the making of a huge corporation. Oh, it may be good and well now, but basically the corporate, whenever, to give another parallel, a historic parallel, what is really happening is when a huge corporation takes over, then you install a bunch of checkpoint Charlies. You don't put guards or anything like out there, but you make the infrastructure ready. You make the infrastructure ready to take complete control and shift it in a direction that the audience absolutely does not want. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but whenever a huge entity is in charge, you're putting the infrastructure for a really nasty takeover in place. So all that needs to happen for something nasty to happen to all the franchises, properties, whatever, is a change in management or a change in strategy.
Right.
That's the scary thing with this. So I'm not at all worried about the Embracer Group as they are currently. As they are currently, they're amazing. But then what if a huge Chinese corporation comes in and they buy up the Embracer Group? Then they suddenly have everything, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the scary thing.
I actually think that's less likely because you, as you referred to, the large entity right now that just dropped $1 billion in to Embracer Group is a Saudi public investment fund. So we'll have to see what their
Yeah.
kind of guidance throws in there.
I mean, I from what I know of them, I don't know too much yet. Like I said, Six is doing a deep dive into this company now, so we can hopefully get a video out here in the next couple weeks. But like, as far as I can tell, they may be progressive in certain aspects, but they're also fans of games and other things. So I feel like deep down, this is possibly a good move for Lord of the Rings and some of these properties. Now, as far as like a company that owns too much shit, oh yeah, you always have that fear. Andre, of course, knows more about that shit than I do, and his response is the more nuanced one. But I just want to point out how sometimes these companies can start biting off more than they can chew, right? They think because they got this big influx of money, instead of spreading it out through the company in ways they should possibly to help incentives and other things with inside their already well-established company, they'll go out and they'll buy a bunch of other things that they don't necessarily need. And then before you know it, they've leveraged a lot of that shit and done a bunch of shit, and next thing you know, a company that was making, tons and tons of money one year is suddenly tons and tons in debt because of all this other shit they took on. And they can basically make another company implode. I mean, we brought up and joked about AOL earlier with Warner's situation, but that's almost exactly kind of what happened right there, right?
And the reason we blame, or not blame, but you can bring that one up, is because it's just a perfect example of what happens when a company grows too fast.
Yeah.
And it does so based on acquisitions which have been made not with money and resources that they already own and have in the bank, but with resources brought in from lenders, meaning that the whole thing, in a sense, is a Ponzi scheme and a house of cards, and it can keep on growing and growing and growing as long as the loan repayments are being made. But if for
That's what I
whatever
meant by
reasons,
leveraging, yeah.
for whatever reason, something happens systemic, whatever, so that all of the new things they acquire suddenly start underperforming, or many enough that they suddenly can't make those acquisitions, the whole freaking thing collapses.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by the leveraging bit, right?
Yeah.
They start taking, we've got all this money, and then instead of actually using that money, they borrow against it, and on top of other things, and once they get these other companies, they borrow against those companies, and it just turns into a, as you said, like a Ponzi scheme that collapses in on itself.
Because it becomes a vicious cycle, because when you get into that thing of lending, you suddenly have to lend even more just to get out of the previous one. And that way you sink deeper and deeper into trouble, but outwardly you're just growing and growing. And you have to keep on growing, because that's the only thing that's preventing the collapse. Every time you grow a little bit, you keep the the money collectors and the bill collectors at bay, basically.
Yeah, and but sometimes you get over leveraged and you're just trapped.
Yeah.
And we've seen companies fall apart, not just AOL, but many fall apart
Yeah.
because of that. I mean, right?
Yeah, companies and individuals.
Disney was dangerously close at the beginning of the global crisis that we just went through. They were dangerously close, to getting too far the other side of the credit side of things. They got downgraded once, and oof,
if Disney got to that point, like I think that what would happen is they'd end up, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they would separate all these entities, right? They'd spin off ESPN and ABC back on its own, because ESPN is where all the money's coming in anyway.
right.
And then the Disney side of things, it all depends on how it pans out. I mean, they've been in these positions before. It's just that now they're at this point where, are they too big to fail or not? Right? Like, that's where you got to kind of look at it compared to what they were 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And the same thing with some of these other companies too, but yeah.
Yeah, and real quickly to this comment from Logic's Finest. Actually, most films are their own legal entity, so that they can all you're chasing is debt if you go after a failed film that something that doesn't.
Oh yeah, films are basically like a Ponzi scheme in themselves. It's
they do have individual investors. They do you're not making a film on your own money usually.
Yeah. Well, basically, that's how
if you're smart.
That's how you're able to do distribution and everything like that on a movie to keep it all relatively clean accounting wise. Is that each movie is technically its own corporation or its own company. So when you make a movie, then you set up a company for that movie, and then there you have the books and everything like that. And if it's an independent film, then it's an independent company, and then if someone comes in and buys it, they buy that company. That's how that works. That's how you keep it on the books.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, my biggest concern with Embracer Group is shared with what Andre said. It's like if somebody else comes in later, someone comes into the management structure, somebody insists that it change, you're going to have hundreds of things be ruined very quickly.
Well, you can give one really good example right there. Marvel or Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
They were acquired by Disney, and did that work out so great? No, not really. Of course, in those cases, the management was never really there to facilitate more than pumping money in. For Marvel, that worked really well for a while until you start having all of these ESG requirements and stuff like that creep in. And you also saw it in their hiring practices, which just like further downward spiral. Had they remained independent, would they have been as successful as they were at the most successful? Probably not. But they might not also be in the same rut as they are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said, I mean, we saw what happens when, and this is prior to Embracer purchasing them. The game Saints Row rebooted was at THQ, right? And before Embracer acquired them, they were working on that game. That was a Volition game, and it has been so very poorly received. And the second round of sales, the second week of sales, has just fallen off a cliff because it's a broken game that feels soulless to gamers, and it essentially flies in the face of the previous games in the franchise. So yeah, I just one bad game can make things look bad for your entire company as well. So I don't think Embracer is going to take risks unless they're forced to take risks. With their properties, you can't afford to.
There's the thing that they, in a sense, they're already at risk because of all the stuff that the people they have acquired were already doing, and that will be coming out under their watch, which therefore involves them. That's like a reputational risk right there. because every single studio that they have acquired on the gaming side, they will have things that have been 5 years in the making. And 5 years ago, that was not a great time to be starting anything, given where the culture was at the time. So they're going to have stuff like that coming out of things that already were in development that really can't be changed.
Yeah. And ultimately, the result of the article we were just going through is basically saying that, Amazon could be, somewhat successful in what they're producing with the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power show. And the direct beneficiary to that would, of course, be Embracer Group, since they now control the rights. They're going to want to do more with the works, yada, yada. So we'll see. Of course, at the same time, Warner Brothers still controls the film rights. Am I wrong?
For Lord of the Rings? No, they still control the film rights.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Okay. So
that's the whole point of War of the Rohirrim. That's going to
Right.
extend the movie rights for another decade for them.
Yeah. And you don't think they're going to want to put something of quality up against what Amazon's doing just to, throw mud on their shoes, face, whatever?
Well, I think they would have wanted to if there was time to put something directly opposite, but the only thing that we have going right now is the rights retainer, and it's been successful in that it will extend the rights. And what I think is happening right now is that the Rings of Power is poisoning the well a little bit. It's going to ruin Tolkien on the big screen in live action for a while. I think it's going to take some time before anyone else will want to go back to Middle-earth. It may look tempting on paper, but then you see what's happening right now with the Rings of Power. That's going to be the most recent thing. Why would you want to try again? I mean, this thing is a disaster for Tolkien and for Tolkien's legacy. It would have been better if it never had been made.
Well, this is Bezos's thing, and I wonder what Bezos's son thinks about his dad's vanity project. I'm just curious.
I'm more curious if he's going to be honest about it, of what he thinks.
Yeah, and this is a true statement. Hot D is better than Rings of Power. It's true. I'm much enjoying, even knowing how it ends, House of the Dragon. I really am. So apparently some news just broke. Tencent just doubled its stake in Ubisoft, investing 300 million euros.
Speaking of gaming and huge corporations owning way too much, Tencent is one that, from what I understand, they've had a mostly hands-off approach so far, which is good. But who knows how long they're going to continue with that?
Well, and it's correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Tencent pull out of substantially out of Epic? I think
don't recall.
They had a pretty decent chunk of Epic, and then weird stuff went down with Apple, and it was pointed out that they were compromised by Tencent, and Tencent kind of pulled out. So I find that interesting, though. 300 million euro. That's half a billion.
Yeah, that's about $300 million. Right now, the dollar and the euro are, for practical terms, they're about the same.
Really?
There's a difference, but it's not a huge difference.
Oh, okay. So because parity before set the euro ahead of the dollar. So we've achieved actual parity at this point.
There was
not actual, but
no, but it fluctuates.
I haven't checked, so
obviously, but it's ballpark.
Yeah, this is probably closest it's been in a while.
Yeah,
so I do a lot of importing here and there, and it's been pretty close to the same exchange.
Yeah, of course, in these amounts right here, there's going to be some difference, but just for simplicity, go with parity.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. The Duck Nation updates us on some of the salient details. Governance at Ubisoft will remain unchanged, and Tencent will not have any operational veto rights. That's interesting. So they're buying 49.9% of Guillemot Brothers Limited Holding Company, which is Ubisoft. That's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, we are out of stories, folks. I wish we could go longer. You guys have anything else? I know you guys did some great videos recently.
Yeah, there's more coming, and we also put up some cool videos on our live archives channel. Some clips from Monday's stream with Chris Gore versus Lofty and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that was a good time.
Go check that out. Yeah, good times, good times.
Ooh,
I was,
that was ruining Chris's birthday. Now, I hate to interrupt you, but are you guys going to attend the Lofty versus Chris Gore stream tomorrow? Are you going to show up for that one? Because I heard Chris invite Lofty on his film threat stream.
yeah, no, we have it in there in the video that we have right now for commercial, but unless I'm especially invited, like I said in the stream yesterday, like I did not mean any to be rude or anything like that, but I really have no clue who Lofty is before he told me. So yeah, like that's drama between them. I'm of the opinion that they can keep them between themselves, and unless they want me to moderate or add some neutral points of view or whatever. So yeah.
Well, like I said, everybody demonstrated excellent self-control yesterday, so it was fun.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
Yeah, and Lofty is a lot of people not big fans of his takes, Andre. He's the quartering.
This I got this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the video editor or one of them for the quartering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does a lot of work on that.
No, and like I know that Andre's a big fan of Yellow Flash, but he's always sleeping during Flashcasts, and of course, as soon as it's done, he puts it over on his
right
for his members and whatnot. So I highly doubt Andre's ever watched Flashcasts. I think he popped up on there once just because he happened to be up.
Exactly, one time.
Flashcast is a lot of fun. There's
a lot of it's just Yellow Flash having fun. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
like yesterday, it was kind of his doing. He was really playing Vince McMahon in the background, and then that's kind of where we didn't really pounce on Lofty because Lofty kind of had no clue what he was really getting into at that point, I think. So I was just like, okay, all right, I see what Yellow's up to.
He did try to throw him to the wolves, right?
He did. I think it was payback for Saturday night.
Probably.
But I'm not saying that's the case. I was a pawn in this game. That's all I'm gonna say. I love Yellow Flash. As much of a shit stir he is, I love Yellow Flash.
Me too. Good. He's a good pal. Yeah. But it's one of those things. It's like I think there was no chance of him joining the panel, Tom. I think you were there was some subterfuge.
I think Yellow was trying to amp some stuff up from Saturday night, and then like I said, the other part was it's probably some payback if he had been a little bit out of line for Saturday too. I did not get to see Saturday's stream, so I can't tell you. I only got to see like 20 minutes of it, I think, and it was early on.
Yeah. Six sends a super chat for $10. Holy cow. Thank you very much, Six. Says, you're the best, Culture. See you on the next member stream Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. Eastern, right? No, but we will be doing a Meet the Whales stream, which will actually be on the main channel, the channel we're on now. It with just the folks that are the high rollers. So it'll be a good time. So yeah, meet the high rollers. Yeah, so it'll be a good time. You guys are amazing. And again, thanks for the super chat there, Six. Appreciate you. Goodness. I don't have any more stories. You guys are doing great work over there. I can't even keep up with everything you're doing. So
well, you'll be glad to know that because I always sorry, I'm really exhausted right now. I always admire your very careful wording and your nuanced political talk and everything like that. So one of the clips we put up at Midnight Sedge Live Archives I made sure to begin with you referring to Galadriel as a bitch. The
Well,
first
that was my least political choice there, but I don't usually curse, so but that's true, right? That's true.
Of
Well,
course,
thank
it's
you.
true. She's a total bitch. Not only that, the actress, she's a shit actress.
I don't. Could that be direction? Could they just?
Of course, because listen, she has a shit script to work with, and she is written to be this really, really unlikable character.
Mhm.
So it could be that the poor acting that we're seeing really is because they needed someone like Brie Larson. They needed a Brie Larson type. And if Morford Clark isn't that type, she's going to struggle with playing the kind of bitch that they needed her to be. So that could be it. Because the way the character is written, yeah, you're looking for a Brie Larson type.
Yeah, it just seems like there is not one moment where she doesn't look down on anybody at all times, and or it looks at them with just disdain. It's just rough. It's just rough. Oh, this is interesting. Is Embracer Group good? Is BlackRock an investor? I don't know that BlackRock's directly involved, but I
don't think they have nothing to do with it. The worst thing that you have on the investor side, to my awareness, is Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and that's a recent development, right?
Yeah, that's a very recent development.
Yeah, and I think Logic's Finest actually asked me a question about Dune. I believe they started shooting. They started pre-shooting in the beginning of July. Go ahead.
We got a few more. I was just gonna say, we know we got some casting news, and if they hadn't started shooting already, I know they're supposed to be starting soon.
Yeah. Pre-shooting started the beginning of July. The location stuff. Florence Pugh was sighted leaving a location. They're in it. I mean, they've been in it for a bit, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Let's see. Yeah, do make sure you're subscribed to Midnight's Edge. Hit the notification bell. Indeed, tomorrow's Midnight's Edge in the morning. I'm looking forward.
You're gonna drag this out until the hour, aren't you?
No, I'm not. We're done. We're done. Tom, do you have anything coming up? You had a slightly abbreviated mead radio.
I'm going to do another mead radio to make up for that right now, since it doesn't sound like Andre's throwing anything at me right now. Of course, we got mead tonight.
I don't have anything in the can, and I'm like too exhausted to start writing something now, I think. So I'm going to have to make up for that tomorrow.
I sent you a thing or two we can maybe do something about.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like, I have several ideas here. I just don't have the what in Norwegian is called ork to actually sit down and start writing at 11 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, no, I hear you, brother.
Yeah, and
we're doing mead later. That's about it.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I will try to be there before it ends, Tom. I promise.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hope we are able tomorrow to do a Meet the High Rollers stream. I'm trying to get the High Rollers to agree. So Mead Radio is coming in just a few moments, probably. And Tom, can you forward the story I sent to you, the PNG of the story from the VIP article to?
I did.
6. Thank you. All right. Very good. On that note, we're done. Thank you, Andre, for joining us today. It's always a great privilege to have you here.
Well, thank you. I just have to also address this comment here. Kitty Bear says that it's Tom Labor Day now. No. Tom's Labor Day was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Videos that day. That was his Labor Day.
Yeah, I told him it was Labor Day. He's like, "Oh, good, because I have twice the labor for you today. You need to get up early, and then you have a video to do besides all the other stuff you do."
And the video had to be done before Toxic Femininity.
And I want the video done in the fastest time you've ever done it before. Can you do this, Scotty? I can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power, but I'll see what I can do.
You are kind of like Scotty, indeed. All right, well, we got to get out of here.
Folks. Andre figured out my trick a while ago, so
really,
it was the Scotty. That's why the Scotty joke comes in. Because if I tell him it'll take twice as long as it's going to take.
That's what a good engineer does.
You know how? Yeah, he's like, do you always double the time it's going to take you to get something done? Oh, how you figured me out, sir? Or however that scene goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, we're out of here, folks. Thanks for being here. Check out all of the great stuff that.
How do you think I work so many miracles? That's what he says. That's what it is.
Midnight's Edge After Dark are putting together. I appreciate them and everybody else that you're going to see on the next screen when we do the wind out credits, which has banners for all the great entertainment connected business minded humans that do kind of the same thing I do. So here we go. Have a great day, everybody. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because good hygiene. And until next time, bye. Thank you, Pete O'Shea's Helicopter Tours, for the $2 super chat right at the end of the stream. Denzel Washington is a comic guru. See Crimson Tide. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.